You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey, folks. Welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Emmy.
And today, we have a special guest for you, a guest host willing to risk it all and take phone calls with us.
Live, unfiltered phone calls. Crazy.
Running some of the best conventions in the Florida area since 2003. Also, proprietor of Quick, Simple, Fun Games and the general manager of Escape WinterCon, Patrick Havert. Say hi, Patrick.
Hey, everybody, and thanks, everybody, for having me on. It's certainly going to be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Oh, it will be.
Yeah, so just a real quick here, our Thursday night call-in show. We come to you every Thursday night from 9 to 10 Eastern Standard Time. We chat about what's going on in the gaming community, what we've been up to. We want to hear from you, hear what you've been up to, and occasionally we have these special shows like tonight where we're going to have we call it a guest host. That's what we call it, a guest host on. So we got Patrick Havert with us tonight. So any questions you've got about specifically the Escape Winter Convention or specifically about quick, simple, fun games, Patrick can certainly chat with you about those things. And again, he's been running conventions in the Florida, the Tampa, Orlando area since 2003. So he's an old hat at this. He could answer probably any questions you've got about hosting a big events. And I know you've had over 1,000 people at some of these conventions. I'm going to say probably close to 2,000 people at some of these conventions, but I'll let you get into a little bit more detail on that. But anybody who's got questions, we ready to fire up those phones, Carlos?
In just a moment, because
Okay.
I want to get that first question.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, okay.
I want the first question.
Before he opens the phone line. Okay.
Yes. So Patrick, tell me,
Yes.
how'd you get into gaming?
To be honest, when I was a kid, I lived in a place where there weren't really a lot of things to do,
Okay.
and I saw somebody playing a game called Midway, and I played chess quite a bit, and, that was fun, but obviously somewhat limited. So when I saw Midway and saw that there were other kind of cool games out there, I started playing those, and that was when I was 6.
Oh, wow.
So since then, I pretty much have played board games and miniatures and card games
And you mentioned
pretty
from
much nonstop.
in an area that there wasn't much to do. Was that in Florida or were you somewhere else then?
No, that was in Oklahoma.
I'm sorry to mean to cut you off there, but I was born in Oklahoma. I'm from a military family. My dad was in the Army, but I was born in Fort Seal, Oklahoma, not too far from Oklahoma City. So, yeah, definitely cool connection there. I know all about not much to do in Oklahoma, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you find somebody that's willing to play a game, then you play that game.
Yeah, very cool. I don't know Midway. Do you know Midway, Carlos?
I've heard of it.
Okay.
It's I believe if I'm right, it's a chit and counter type game.
Well, yeah, it's an old Avalon Hill game with kind of like hidden movement where like the Japanese fleet and the American fleets are moving, but you don't see each other. You have to say, I'm sending out people to scout this zone. And then if there's ships there, you have to tell them.
Huh.
So it's kind of a blind game, so to speak, or at least one of the first iterations of them.
Interesting. Okay. I assume this is I see Midway here on the BGG 1964 release, so was around a little bit before my time, it looks like, but very cool. Okay.
Well, a little bit before mine as well, but, when people were playing it in the 70s, I played it.
Yeah, very cool. Okay.
Well, that let me get in the first question. So at this point, we will open up the phone lines for you folks at home. 813-618-7099 is the phone number for you to call in and talk to us about what you've been up to, what you've been doing gaming-wise. You also have the opportunity to talk to Patrick about gaming in general or conventions, your choice. Take our topic and toss it. But let's keep the conversation going on the war game since Robert doesn't indulge me.
Oh, yeah, since I opened that can of worms, yeah.
So starting off with a difficult war game like Midway, something, a heavier weight is the words I'll use,
Okay.
type of war game. How deep did you go down that rabbit hole?
Oh, I mean, I went all the way. For a long time, war games were the only thing I could play. But, I was playing Squad Leader when I was 10.
Oh,
graduated up to different like Third Reich, and I mean I even played World in Flames for a while, and that was like 20 weeks every Sunday we'd play for 8 to 10 hours.
Wow.
See, I need to move somewhere where nothing else is going on.
You could just hang out and play games, yeah. Well, sometimes that would be a blessing. I would agree, yeah.
Growing up in Florida, Puerto Rico and then Florida, there's always a beach, there's always an event, there's always a party. Finding people to play games with is so hard.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it's easier now.
Oh yeah, we've grown our circle. So we started out with just a handful of us, but and we've got a pretty good group now. Pretty much any night of the week, if we want to get a game in, we can post up and find somebody who wants to play. So that's definitely a cool thing. Yeah. I've got the websites up here. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say I don't know if you guys are old enough to have played by email.
Robert, you did.
I played. I'm trying to think of what I did. I played a game that was it was called Planets. It was a computer game that I played by mail, by email. You basically played your turn. It was a turn-based space exploration kind of game, war game, and you would take your turn on the computer, and you'd have to zip your file and send it by email over to the other person. They'd get it on their computer, unzip it, and have to run the turn so they could see what you did, and then they would react to it. So, but I never did any board gaming. My best friend when I was a kid's dad used to play international chess. He was a big chess player, and he would play these games where they'd have a little book, and he'd be playing like 10 games against people all across the world, like in Russia and Europe and all different things. And you'd go flip to each of the little boards, you'd make your move, and then you'd put it back in the mail and mail it off, and then maybe a week later you'd get it back in the mail and take your next one. But that's about the extent of mine. I assume you've done some of that.
Yeah, well, before the internet was around, you had to communicate with people, so that was pretty much the best you could do at that time.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, that's cool. I was just going to mention that I've got the sites up here. We'll pull them up here as we're just discussing things. But I've got the Escape Winter Convention site. I just real quick to throw a plug in here. So it's Escape Winter Convention is in Orlando. It is September 15th through the 19th of this year. Tickets are on sale until September the 10th. Patrick was telling us before we went on the air that those will go offline probably about 5 or 6 p.m. So, normal business hours through the 10th. So if you want to get in, make sure you get your ticket. How many people are we looking at, or how many people is the capacity, I guess, let me ask, for the con?
Well, the capacity is 800. Right now, we've got just under 500 people signed up.
Okay. So pretty good turnout right now. So you've got room for up to 300 more. So we'll hope we'll fill those spaces tonight.
But with all the things that we have been dealing with as a community, as a gaming community, we know those 500 are some hardcore gamers, right? So I remember our last trip to Escape WinterCon last year. There was very little sleep, gaming nonstop. We gamed at the Village Inn.
Oh yeah.
It was Village Inn, right? Or is it the Perkins? It has pie.
It was Perkins, I think. It was Perkins. Pie. Yeah, it was Perkins.
We were doing rolling rights while eating pie.
Yeah, we played Ganshan Clever, and
it was like 3 a.m.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So we can go back to the game hall and play some more.
Yep.
Y'all caught me falling asleep a few times at different game tables.
Yeah, with Little Thunder Alley, I think you were nodding off, and then we played something else that you almost ripped the whole tablecloth off the table because you were trying to grab yourself as you were falling. But yeah, it was it's much talked about in our gaming group for sure. Yeah.
But that's the kind of folks we're talking about when we say 500 folks. Yeah, these are 500 of the toughest gamers. Oh, we got a phone call
coming in.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, this is Wayne from Tampa. How's it going, guys?
Hello, Wayne.
How you doing?
Good. Calling from Atlanta, man. How's it going?
Oh, that's right. He's in DragonCon this week.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
Hey, Wayne, you may not know, but we have Patrick Havert on the line with us. He's on the phone. He can hear you.
Oh, hey, how's it going, man?
Pretty good. How's it going?
Yeah, no, I'm not watching you live currently, but I said I'd call from DragonCon and give you a little recap of how it's going so far.
Awesome.
It's really just the first day, so vaccines required and masks required, but man, the badge line was an hour and 45 minutes long.
Wow. So that didn't hold a lot of people back then, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, you can feel that it's not nearly as busy as previous years,
right?
Because they're at half capacity.
Sure.
But it started picking up later in the day. You can definitely see that it's starting to get The Dragon Con's a big party con, so there's definitely a lot of that atmosphere going on right now.
Sure.
But getting ready to get some gaming in, so it's kind of cool.
Cool. Awesome. And you said you're getting ready to start some games?
Yeah. I bought Summer Camp, little deck building game where you kind of like you're building your deck to get merit badges in summer camp.
Oh, yes,
so we're getting ready
yeah.
to go downstairs and play that. Yeah. Kind of fun little game, little Target exclusive game for now, I think, or something like that.
I saw a playthrough of that. That looks like fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So
now,
we'll see. Sorry, go ahead.
Wayne, did they put the gamers in a hole again? I remember the year that I went, they gave us this tiny corner of nowhere where nobody found us. Tabletop gamers, not the RPGers, tabletop gamers.
Oh yeah, the games room is over in the Americas Mart now. So it's a big like convention hall type area type place, like the exhibitor space. So there's a big old area for board gaming. It's probably a couple of football field size big.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that's way different than before. Yeah.
That's overcompensating.
Yeah, it's no longer the gaming is no longer in a hotel. It's in a convention center type setting, so it's kind of cool. Normally, non-COVID years it'd be open 24/7, but now it's open till like 2 a.m. or something like that.
Oh,
but
that hurts.
Yeah, they gotta clean the room eventually, I guess. But so it'll be interesting to see how it goes this week. We got here today, checked in. The hotels are busy, but it's not nearly like it is in previous years. But we'll see. I tell you what, everyone is. I haven't seen anyone argue about the vaccine or the masks or whatever, and it's everyone's just kind of incorporating all the masks into their cosplay and stuff. So it's been pretty cool so far.
Cool. And so when you checked in, they were just checking people's vaccination status at the check-in table, or?
Yeah, well, when you check in the hotel, they didn't check it, but then when you went to go get your badge, you had to show your vaccine card or proof of negative test.
Okay.
And there's just, they were just, I didn't see anyone all day, like, really have any problem, like, putting them, like, as you walk back into a building, everyone's just throwing the mask back on and going with it. So it's been pretty good so far, at least. But, it's only day one. We'll see where it goes the next 3-4 days. So
Right. And you may have mentioned this. Are they requiring everybody indoors to wear masks, or is it optional once you get in?
No optional inside. If you're indoors in any of the hotels or convention space, you must be masked, even if you've been vaccinated.
Okay.
Hey, Patrick, while we have Wayne on the line here, some good reconnoitering going on here, some good recon. Any questions for him about the con?
Well, I have a question, and just, are you going to march in the parade? And if so, what's your costume?
Yeah, I typically don't march in a parade, although I got a bunch of friends that march in the parade. I got one of my good girlfriend of mine. She does a Harley Quinn every year. Her and her boyfriend do Harley Quinn and the Joker, and they do the masquerade costume contest, and they march in the parade. So they'll be in there.
Cool.
Well, Wayne, we appreciate it, man.
Weird. Yeah, no problem. The parade's weird this year. Normally it's the biggest parade in the city of Atlanta.
Right.
But they're locking it down this year, and the only people that can be on the streets, even watching the parade, are convention attendees.
Yeah, remember you saying that.
It's going to be interesting.
Remember you saying that last week. So, that will be a big change. We'll be interested to hear from you how that goes, because I know that, like you say, the parade is usually the big event. And I know the 2 years I've been there, people drive in from the suburbs of Atlanta just to come in and see the parade. So locking it down this year, I would hope that they've publicized that well, because I'm sure there's people who plan to just show up on the day of, but hopefully they've got it in the media and stuff that's not happening this year, and that you've got to have a ticket. So, but yeah, I'll be interested to hear from you how that goes.
Yeah, sure. I mean, apparently it's been on the local news up here a lot. Like, don't come to the parade. Don't, they're showing it like on the local CW channel and things like that. So it should be good, but we'll see.
Cool. Awesome.
Enjoy yourself. Be safe. We want to hear a good report next week on what you got played and what you bought. I think I want to hear about the halls.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys. Just want to give you a quick call. I'll listen to the show later tonight when I'm back in the hotel.
Sweet.
But have a good night, man.
Get back to gaming. Have fun.
Have a good one. See you guys.
Thanks.
All right, that was Wayne Kruger from Tampa reporting live from Atlanta, Georgia.
I forgot he said he was going to call in. That's funny. So
I completely forgot Dragon Con was on this weekend.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, what are your thoughts on... Well, somebody's got a question for you in the chat, Patrick. They're asking, can they buy tickets day of the con? I know we mentioned it before, but let's remind the folks.
No, they cannot. September 10th is the last day you can buy them. We have to print all the badges and everything beforehand, but we also want to know how many people we're going to have. So we don't sell tickets at the door.
All right, so 10th of September is your last day, so they can prepare for that. And then, Patrick, what are your thoughts on what you heard from Wayne and Dragon Con and how things are going up there and how it's being received?
Well, I'm glad people are, taking it well. I mean, I've seen some weird things happen at like certain locations, like one of the game stores that I play at. But in general, a lot of these big events, everybody knows you're going to need to be masked, and
Sure.
they just kind of hopefully will deal with that accordingly. But I'm glad they put gaming inside of a big hall instead of like some weird little side room.
Yeah, I know. Like I say, with both times I've been, it's been kind of just it was on a weird floor of a weird hotel that was kind of out on the perimeter of what was going on. And anybody who's never been to Dragon Con before, it's I think it's like 5 or 6 hotels that are all on the corners or all on a couple of city blocks there in downtown Atlanta, and they have these skyways or whatever, where some of the hotels you can walk across between them. And so finding things can be a little bit tricky because it's kind of spread out over I would say a fairly large area. Again, it's a couple of city blocks. And I know my first year going, it was a bit intimidating when I was trying to find a certain hall or when I was trying to find, an event that was going on somewhere. And then number one, having to locate the hotel and then find the floor and then find the corner of a room tucked away somewhere. It was being there kind of by myself. It was a little strange. It was a little weird. But the gaming, like I say, has always been kind of. I know the 2 years I've gone have been kind of tucked away off on one of the side rooms on one of the side hotels, and so it is cool to hear that they've opened it up to such a big area. So that's cool.
Probably has to do with the COVID protocols too, just making sure everybody's spaced out with plenty of room.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing. Hopefully they'll stick with it and they'll keep a big gaming area so we can see more and more gaming. I mean, certainly it's a growing hobby. We all know that. So hopefully it becomes a bigger part of the con.
Patrick, what's your setup for Escape WinterCon? What are the plans for the game rooms? How are you handling it?
Well, we're going to have a mask optional room as well as mask enforced. All the common areas are you have to wear a mask, but excuse me. Basically, we're going to have a mask-free room. If that fills up, then we'll allocate some more space to it. So we want people to feel comfortable when they're gaming. If you want to wear a mask in the mask optional room, that's up to you. But we're going to have a lot of space for people who wear masks to play, as well as for people who choose not to. So we're just kind of hoping that, people kind of self-police themselves and it's not a giant drama every day.
Sure. Yeah, I was going to ask how much anxiety you have over that, being the first con that you've run, I assume, since the pandemic hit. Have you had a lot of sleepless nights wondering how that's gonna go down with people from different opinions of mask or not to mask?
Yeah, I mean, I try not to judge people or preach them what I think should happen.
Sure.
But, we just hope that everybody's open to the experience and really is willing to get along just to have fun. It's all about taking a week's vacation and having a great time, not about going to yell at people.
For sure. Yeah.
No, it was a great time we had last year. And some folks may not know, Patrick, the Escape WinterCon was something that came after many years of running conventions, including the Dice Tower convention, which is where Robert and I were first made familiar with you.
Sure, yeah.
So this is not a new event or a new con, although it's the second year. To me, this is a continuation of what we've already been doing.
Yeah, well, something you've obviously been doing for a while, since 2003. I mean, I guess give us a little bit of history on how did you get started with conventions?
To be honest, it was a place to go where I could meet other people to game. And when I went, I saw some of the things that maybe they could improve on. So I offered to volunteer to help run things. And it just kind of went from there that, when you kind of put it together and everything is organized and people can just show up and have fun, that's much better for them as the attendees than, like you mentioned at Dragon Con, having to search around and find things. And, not that con is huge, so we're obviously not that big.
Sure, a little different, yeah.
Still it's more about us setting the tempo so that people can just show up and have fun and the way they want to, not that way that, we'll try to enforce that they have to do this at this time.
Sure. And getting into the details of the con, I know the main focus is on gaming, which is a great thing. That's what Carlos and I have enjoyed about it when we went, was just being able to just sit down and play games and not have a whole lot of other distractions. But you do have a few other things going on at the con. I remember there was a demo area where you had some people doing demos. The last one we went to. Are you planning to have those kinds of things this year?
We do have some demos going this year because of the Gen Con running the same week.
Sure.
We're not going to have an exhibitors hall because everybody's going to Gen Con, and I understand that, unfortunately.
Sure, yeah.
But we'll have the flea market and a virtual flea market, and we're going to run game shows every single night.
Okay. Cool.
So if people choose to join us, that's great. If they want to sit and game until 4 a.m. and pass out of the table, well, that's their choice as well.
Which Carlos is familiar with. Yeah, he's definitely done his share of that. So
that's the whole reason we go. It's for me. It's
to watch you
the
pass out of the
ability,
table.
and that's what I think Dragon Con left me wanting is the gaming aspect of it. There was everything else really overshadowed that gaming room.
Right.
I went over there expecting to get the feels of what I felt at Dice Tower Con and now Escape Winter Con. But that wasn't it. Like, we were just a side group of people at Dragon Con.
Well, and I mean, that's really a science fiction / anime comic con.
Sure.
And so people are going there to wear their costumes and see all the different anime shows and things like that.
Right.
I hope their gaming gets better because I think people would game if they saw it,
Sure.
But obviously, when it's tucked away in a hotel in the basement and, the farthest hotel away from everything else, it's kind of more difficult to get people to go.
They did a great job with the RPG side of it because that was a whole area fully dedicated to just all kinds of RPGs. But it was just that tabletop gaming. That's the part that kept me coming back to your conventions is the feeling of this is just gaming all the time. Like, just what I want it to be, just gaming.
Well, yeah, I mean, I agree with you, and that's what I
for
like.
Me, for Carlos, that's what I chose to do the whole time.
And I understand a lot of people do that, and some people come and they'll go to Disney or they'll go to Universal Studios for a day or two with their family or spend, time out by the pool.
Sure.
So obviously last year when we ran it in February, everybody who came from up north, they left where it was -30 and came down to where it was 75 degrees. So for them, it was like a nice visit to the pool.
Yeah.
And that's different because last time we were in February of 2020 when your convention ran, hence the name Escape Winter Con. I know September is not quite winter.
Getting close, but not quite.
In some places.
Yeah.
So it did get pushed back because of all the craziness of this last year. But I think you're one of the only conventions that can say you went back-to-back 2020 to 2021.
Yeah, for sure, yeah.
I mean, that's an achievement.
Yeah, well, let's hope that everything goes smooth and everybody has a great time because that's really what it's all about.
Yeah, and looking forward,
achievement
to years in the future. What is are you looking to eventually move it back to like a February date or?
Yeah, I mean, in 2022, we'll probably go in September again, just because still with COVID kind of being out there, I'd like to, not rush into anything.
Give it a full another year. Yeah.
Cold and flu season. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd like to go into winter. I think February in Florida is obviously the best time of year to be here. So
yeah,
not too hot, not too humid, no bugs.
And pull a lot of people from maybe a little further north down to a gaming convention. That's definitely a cool idea.
Well, and actually, a lot of people in England have written me saying they want me to switch it back to February because that's a great time for them to get out of England. So.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Yeah, well, I guess we haven't even thought much about that. But as far as international visitors to the con, I mean, have you found that you're pulling a lot of people from outside of? Well, I guess even just outside of the Florida or the Orlando area.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the Orlando area probably is about a third of the crowd. Tampa and Orlando.
Okay.
And then when you stretch it out to like Miami and North Florida, it gets to be like 2/3.
Okay.
And then everybody else is coming in. But like last year, I think like 11% of the people came from another country.
Wow.
So 1 out of 10
was nice.
of the folks that were there.
That's pretty cool.
From another country.
I would have never guessed that. I would have thought it would have been a lot lower percentage.
Well, I think a lot of them speak English, obviously. Otherwise, it would be kind of a bummer to go to a gaming con. You can't communicate with anybody.
Yeah, not be able to talk to anybody. And
I think some of the coolest parts was even though this was a different date and it was a different name from what used to be the Dice Tower convention, Dice Tower East, I think we called it.
Well, it's Dice Tower East now. It was just Dice Tower
It was
before.
just Dice Tower before.
Right, yeah.
The same folks that Robert and I met and gamed with, we saw a lot of those same folks make the trip to February.
Sure.
So it's like we were able to catch up with friends that we've gamed with. That's the only place we know them from is the trip to Orlando. So you've got folks that were like Robert and I, who even though the date changed, the name changed, we wanted to continue going to this convention.
Oh yeah.
And even if the time frame changed, how do you, being there and knowing the folks better than I, Patrick, how'd you feel the reception was with adding this new convention, this new date, and keeping the folks that you had before?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of the people are coming just because they like the feel of the convention, like you said, where it's all about gaming and just relaxing and, not having to worry about a lot of other stuff or, people marching through and things like that. So that's been a good thing. I mean, obviously switching it to September didn't help because, all the people up north or whatever don't want to come down during hurricane season. And
Yeah. I think a lot of people in New York want to escape right now.
Yeah. After what they've been through the last 24 hours, yeah.
but it's just a lot of the people who have been every timers, like the very first one we ran, we only had 300 people.
Sure.
So they were the original 300, like the Spartans.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They have their badge they bring back every year just to show everybody they were one of the originals.
Well, about 150 people are still left that have come every single time.
Nice.
That's insane.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, I mean, I think people are enjoying the experience. So hopefully, whatever time of year we run it, they'll be able to make plans for vacation.
Yeah, and that's going to be the hard part, as always, is fitting the conventions in, and especially this year, of course, obviously with the COVID stuff that's gone on, everybody's compressed into the last part of this year trying to make their conventions happen. So I know we talked a little bit about the timing, unfortunately, of this and Gen Con up in Indianapolis.
Yeah, they announced, 3 weeks? Is that what you said, Pat? 3 weeks after you announced. Gen Con announced their dates, and I remember when that announcement went out, and I'm thinking, what?
What a bad decision, bad choice, yeah.
But
I mean, I kind of understand it just because of like the hotel and the football game situation. I mean,
yeah,
they have to share the stadium with the Colts, so it's not like they get first choice.
Yeah, they had to wedge it in where they could, yeah, for sure, yeah.
But you're not the only one on that weekend, because if I'm right, Chaos Cup, which is the Blood Bowl, Big Giant Blood Bowl tournament, up in Illinois, in Chicago. See how I put an S at the end of that?
Illinois. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I heard your noise.
Yeah, English is not my first language.
Yeah.
We got a phone call.
Another caller coming in.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hello, gentlemen. This is Nick.
Hey.
Chapel, Florida.
How you doing, Nick?
Hello, Nick. On the line with
good.
us, we have Patrick Havert, the general manager of Escape WinterCon. So you got any topics for us or questions for him, or do you just want to take over the show? It's up to you.
Oh, no, man, no. I was calling to talk to Patrick, absolutely. And hello, Emmy, as well, by the way. Good to see you there. Yeah. So two questions for you, Patrick. Hey, by the way, big fan of the work. So as Carlos would tell you, I'm a Kickstarter fiend.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a Kickstarter guy. What do you do to keep your library stocked and up to date, if anything, especially as it then relates to bringing it over to the convention? Now, that's always a big deal. Is what's the library going to be like at a convention? Do you keep it like in some kind of storage, or do you, how's the library situation like for this year at Escape Winter?
Well, I keep it in storage, but we go like once every month or two to put new games into it and just make sure everything's okay there. We got, I think it's like 2,100 games in the library this year.
Nice.
Because we cull some of the games if nobody's checked them out in a couple of years, and obviously I'm buying new games all the time. So, it depends on when Kickstarters show up. A lot of times, it's unfortunate. I've had a Kickstarter show up the day after we left to go to the con, and it sat on my front porch the whole time.
No.
That's funny. Are you gonna? Do you ever do? I know actually. I think I remember seeing it at the previous cons, like certain tables set up where people can try out newer games or new hotness or whatever. Is that something you're doing this year?
Yeah, I mean, we'll have the hot game area with some games set up, and then a gentleman named Andrew Beard is actually running demos of a few of them, like Aliens Nostromo.
Nice.
That's
Very
the
cool. Very cool.
Aliens, the Target version, right?
Right.
I want to play that. Like, I'm excited about that one. It's supposed to be based off of Horrified.
Oh, yeah? Cool.
That'll be a hot table.
It's a cool game. I also have that Aliens: A Glorious Day in the Core.
Oh,
be out there as well.
We saw somebody play that
William
a couple weeks
and
ago.
a couple other folks got that played at our last monthly game day.
They got their teeth kicked in, from what I understand, but I understand that's not unusual in that game.
No, it's a really hard game.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah.
There you go, Nick. You got some hot game tables coming and 2,100 games in the library.
Yep.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's a big number.
Yeah. Do you have another question, Nick?
Like, oh well, I was just gonna keep the conversation going.
Yes.
With Emmy, they're at the table. First of all, not to put anyone on the spot, but do you know, Patrick, if you got a good kid representation this year, or is there going to be a separate kid area at all, or anything like that?
We haven't really sold a lot. I mean, we haven't sold a lot of kids tickets. I am running a couple of events for kids, like a pitch car tournament. But just from the badge sales, it seems like mostly adults or at least people in their teens are coming. So, we'll try to have all the kids stuff going. But, this year, obviously, with COVID and school running during the convention, it's kind of more difficult.
Right.
For people
That's a major difference between, I guess, at least the Dice Tower con before. Is not only was it during the summer, but it was always a holiday week with 4th of July time frame and whatnot.
Right.
I know that drew some families and whatnot. No, that sounds good though. It makes sense. Very cool. That's all I had. Just enjoying listening to the show. We're between axe throwing seasons right now, so I've actually been watching from the minute one. I was ready to go at 9 o'clock. Very exciting.
That's cool.
Well, I didn't know you were between axe throwing season. I was surprised not to see you at the Blood Bowl League this season.
Yeah, that was so I'm actually listening to the show and was finishing. I won't lie, was finishing putting together my halfling team that I was working on the bases earlier today. Posted the video there on the Facebook page. And I finally finished putting together the 12 models or minis. I just take my time with them and go slow. It's fine. But yeah, no, that was a weekly commitment that I just, with the length being that it was a longer season, I'm definitely having some moments of regret now, where I'm kind of like, I saw you guys first week and there's 14 coaches, and like, oh man, it's like 2 other people. If me and one other person had joined, it would have been 16 coaches. Perfect,
We have 3 different divisions.
Brackets, yep. But no, I had a blast doing it in the first season, and I do want to come back. I talked to Michael and at Armada, and they've got the teams from that first season on file. So, like, if they run another league, I could still actually do the redraft from my Imperial Nobility team in a later season. That they're not throwing that binder away. So that's cool. But no, I just couldn't commit for the weekly game this time around.
Well, I hope you didn't think I was going to let you go without asking for your first impressions of Ankh.
So I had a lot of fun playing Ankh, and I will say that I table the full answer because Joyce actually had some thoughts as well that maybe she was going to share with you guys, but we didn't want to take up too much time of the Patrick show here. But it was a lot of fun. It was good. I'll just say the big thing that people are going to want to hear, I think, is the merged player. It's the mechanic that is eyebrow raising for sure. Where it's a competitive game. So for those, I don't have to bring it up on the screen, but for those who aren't familiar with the latest arrival of Kickstarter from Come On, Cool Minis or Not, Ankh, big Egyptian themed game, the third in the trilogy from Eric Lang, with it being Blood Rage, then Rising Sun, and now Ankh. Dudes on a map game, lots going on, very, very engaging. But then the big thing is 2/3 of the way through the game, or the 3/4 of the way through the game, the bottom 2 players join and become a team. So now it becomes a cooperative game for those 2 players, as long as you're playing a 3-player or more game, which we were. And at 3 or more players, if you're doing your math, the 2 bottom joins, and now it becomes heads up. Now it's just the person that was winning against the other 2 as a team. That if that player, if the scores were, that did make for a very interesting, exciting, tense final quarter of the game. It turned it right away into a heads-up game, and then it's like, oh, how do we beat that person that is winning, right? And it worked in our one play. So I think we just need to get a bunch more plays in to figure it out how it would go. The gameplay variability is pretty high. You can be a whole bunch of different playable characters, the Egyptian gods, and then there's different guardians, basically the other guys you can recruit in your service. It's cool. It's a good game. We had fun. All 3 of us had fun. Joy remarked that he had a good time playing it. She did win. She was the one winning. And then held on to her lead, but only by like 1 or 2 devotion points, the victory points at the end of the game. So it was wild. It was fun. The jury is still out, I think, on whether or not it's going to play out that smoothly normally. Because here's the thing. I know you asked, and
I asked.
But here's the thing. It's a non-optional thing that happens.
The merge,
every game.
Yep.
Yeah, the merge happens every time you play, unless you just agree to avoid it by playing a 2-player game, which is something that I think it did occur to me you could do. If you just play a 2-player version of the game, if you're a couple at home and you just always play your games heads up, always play 2-player, then the merge obviously doesn't apply to you, and you just play the game, and it's great. But as long as you're at a 3-player or more count, the merge will occur. And so every game you have to go into the game being like, do I want to join forces with the guy next to me or guy across from me, like, or what, or how's that go?
But like a race to the bottom, is that what you're saying? Like, you think people will have a race to the bottom?
It depends on how the board is playing at the time, for sure. If you're in third, let's say it's a 5-player game and you're in 3rd place, you want to be in 4th place for sure. Because if you're in 3rd place out of 5, and then the merge happens, and now you're in 3rd
you're just
place
a side. You're just a side thing at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, there will be a race to the bottom.
Yeah. Well, or to the top, right? So then, if you're in 2nd place, you really want to get up there and secure your lead, because the merged god is strong. The merged god is. I mean, like in the one game we played here, we caught up from a huge deficit, and if the game hadn't ended when it did, we would have been won. Like the merged god will start making up ground in a very big way very quickly, and then it becomes the people that are winning need to cling to the lead and get the game over. Like, move it along. Like, let's go. We need to end this game before that merged god.
There's a lot of things I'm hearing here that I like. There's a lot that I'm hearing that I like.
Yeah, well, we'll have to give it a shot. I just jump in just with a actually.
Actually.
So I watched a interview with Eric Lang about a week ago, probably less than a week ago. He was with the Simon group. They had him on, even though he's kind of removed from the Cool Mini or not now, but. He did talk about, he went into detail. He talked for about a half an hour. It was an interview about just his whole career and everything. And he talked about a half an hour about Ankh, and he was taking some questions on the internet from people that as they were doing the interview. And so people did ask him, of course, about the merge and all that. And Eric really went into some depth on it, and without getting into rehashing his whole interview, a couple quick things that he mentioned. There is a scenario, supposedly the game has a scenario book, and you can play different setups in different scenarios. He did mention that there is a scenario for 3 or 4 players that does not use the merge. He said, so you could always play that scenario. He said you could always also play any of the other scenarios and not do the merge. He said it's just something you could ignore, but he did say that the game is designed around the merge. So he said that is that has been in the game design since the beginning. That was one of the founding principles of it. And so the balancing of the game, the playing of the game, all the play testing they did was always based on the fact that there will be a merge. And he said he understands that there are people who don't like that idea. He said he encourages everybody to try the game with the merge. He said if you don't like it, then play without the merge. Although he says that after you've played 4 or 5 or 6 times without the merge, he encourages people to go back and try the merge again. He says because he feels a lot of people aren't really giving it a fair shot, and they're not keeping an open mind because it's such a different mechanic than we've ever seen in any games, at least from him. It's such a twist on what way you would normally do things. And just, again, I don't want to get into all the details. We've talked about it a little bit on some of our prior shows, but I know we also talked in the chat a little bit about the fact that when you and your son merged, it is a little different than if you're just showing up at a game night and you're playing with some, people that you may know casually,
right.
And then you end up having to merge with somebody across the table who you don't know their personality, you don't really know their play style, and now you're forced to work with somebody that may be across the table from you, so it's inconvenient that you're having to now share strategies and share ideas, and there may be people sitting on other sides of you. So I know we had chatted a little bit about how when it was you and your son, you two you've obviously played a lot together. You have some pretty similar play styles. And so that is probably the ideal situation of having to merge with somebody, and some families maybe not. Me and my my kids may not have the same experience. My teens like to butt heads with me. But in any case, so again, without getting into all the details, those are just a few little...
That's good insights.
Yeah, a few little things to throw out there.
I think what I got out of that for Nick is, Nick, just give in to your urge to merge.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
And if not, just do a little 2 players, Unk and chill with wifey.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Love it. Anyway, that's actually it's a good point. I didn't realize that one of those scenarios in the scenario book didn't involve the merge. I will say, I know you guys got to move on. Patrick's sitting here, wondering when we're going to talk about the convention, but it does resonate as extremely truthy that Mr. Lang built the game around this moment, because the game actually unbalances itself. Like, I only have one play in,
right?
But I saw Joyce running away with the lead and there's no way to catch her. The game is over. Like, we're done. Like, there's no the game doesn't provide you a mechanism to do anything about it. Oh wait,
the merge. Yeah.
Now Landis and I are merged, and now watch. Like, holy crap, we can do this, and we can do this, and we can win. Like, this is great. Like, it was a neat moment of watching what felt like something tumble out of control, and then turns out it was all part of a master plan.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have.
And the game was down to 1 point.
You can't have despair without hope. Right? I mean, I love that. Well, thanks for the update on Ankh. I'm looking forward to hearing more as you get plays of it. And Robert and I are hoping you bring it over here and teach us.
Yeah, we got to get to the table.
So we got to get out of the house, come over here to Studio Bean, and show us how to play.
Let's do it. I love it. Perfect.
Awesome.
Take care, Nick. Thanks for the phone call.
I might even drag the reigning champion on.
Oh yeah, bring her on over. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'd love to have her on the show too. I'm all about getting the lady representation here. We've had Rachel, we've had Emmy. So Joyce is the voice of Beans and Dice.
Yeah, she's the voice of the
Bring her over.
show. Yeah.
Thanks again, Nick.
Awesome. Perfect.
Have a good night, Nick. Thanks for calling.
Have a good night, guys. Yep. Bye-bye.
Hey, Patrick, what do you think of Ankh? That's a big change.
I mean, it looks gorgeous. I haven't gotten to play it yet, but that merge sounds weird. But like he said, in a 3-player game, it's great. I'm kind of wondering how it'll work in a 5-player game.
Yeah.
Because I presume some of the other players might team up against the merged group.
Yeah, and I've heard some chat. I've kind of kept an ear open on it because I'm an Eric Lang fan, as is Carlos, I think. So Carlos more for Blood Rage than for Rising Sun. He wasn't a huge
Warhammer
fan.
Invasion.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it was way before that.
There was Godfather and some other good things there. But yeah, I've been kind of keeping an ear open, and people have talked about that whole thing.
We got a call coming in.
Let's take the call.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Zeno.
Hey, Brian Zeno. How you doing?
What's going on, guys? How you doing, Mr. Patrick?
Pretty good. How's it going, Brian?
We're doing all right. Having a good time. I really don't have a whole lot of questions. I just wanted to say that I'm really looking forward to this. I got 5 of us going, so it's going to be a good time.
Escape Winter Convention. You're bringing the whole family.
Yep, bringing them, bringing Ed, bringing the neighbor.
The whole fan family.
Yeah, pretty much.
Are they all planning to game?
And we're gonna. Well, probably.
Okay.
I mean, Raquel. If Raquel gets too bored, she can go to SeaWorld or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, knowing Zeno
but-
and having gone to historical conventions with Zeno and Escape WinterCon and Dice Tower, there's usually a wagon
Oh yeah, wagon
right,
to
full of games that he
Yeah.
brings.
to fill up with games. Yeah, it's empty at first, but
How's that packing going? What games are you bringing with you?
Well, okay. Well, I'm really trying to limit it. So first, I have to bring TI because we're having a TI game on Friday. I scheduled it. I got 6 people so far. So if anybody wants to play, there's 2 spots left.
little Twilight Imperium. Okay.
Yep. So that's definitely coming. I'm gonna bring all my unmatched because they all fit in one bag.
Nice.
So and then I was gonna bring the tiny epics.
Okay, that's been
And
your
then
newest kit there. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm still there's a couple other games I'm still on the fence if I want to drag them out. I just got to do what I didn't do last time. Is I ended up with so much more coming back than what I took. It was a problem getting it all in the vehicles.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we hit the flea market and we really went at it. I bought stuff, Kai bought stuff, Raquel bought stuff. Next thing I looked, I said, "Oh God,
This isn't all going to fit in the car."
yeah." Plus us, yeah. I'm not making 2 trips to Orlando. I'm good.
That's right. You can leave a kid. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah. I can leave the neighbor Riley. He's there.
There you go. Yeah.
So I'm still on the fence if I want to bring in Axis Allies. Patrick, do you have Axis Allies in your
Library.
Inventory?
I'll have to check. I know we have some. I just don't know if anybody's been checking them out and playing them.
That's a challenge,
Well,
Zeno.
I get requests all the time, so I'm like, I could bring them, but they are big boxes. It just depends on what goes on. It just depends on how many people want to play big war games or not.
Well, Zeno, he did say at the beginning of the show, games that don't get checked out in the library over time are going to get culled. So if you want to get that game stayed in that library for you for this year and next, sounds like you got to check it out.
Yeah.
Well, I just looked. We have Axis and Allies and Zombies, Axis and Allies the Anniversary Edition, and Axis and Allies D-Day.
There you go.
Okay, so you got Anniversary, so that's the one we'll probably use. But you guys know how I am about. I like to have everything sleeved and everything.
Not just sleeved, like literally laminated the boards.
Laminated, yes.
I think he
Yes, I do.
shrink wrapped the dice.
Yeah, right. Not that bad. I did see some dice online though that have built-in LEDs, and I'm thinking about buying them because they look so cool. You roll and they start flashing at you.
Like a kid in a candy store.
We got to put a sign up, like an epileptic seizure sign warning.
Don't come in this area of the gaming if you can't handle strobing lights. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. Especially with all the dice towers I've been building. I built some more, and I'm like, oh, that'd be so cool.
I'm glad you're getting out there with the families. It's a great family event. You and I have both brought our families there and seen how much fun our kids can have outside of the event, and then kind of give us a little bit of space and peace to be gamers and not have to be dads, but then also be able to spend time with the kids and play games with them. Having that option is great.
Oh yeah, well, I don't want to kill mine after a while. We'll be all right.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Thanks
you
for
guys are
coming
talking
out
about
and bringing
that last game. Yeah, you're talking about that last game about having to go along with your kids, and Rob's like, oh yeah, mine like to butt heads. Well, have you met mine?
Yeah, well, I was going to say, Carlos wanted to kill one of your kids from what I understand the last little Heroes of Land, Air, and Sea that y'all played.
And Champions of Midgard.
Champions of Midgard, yeah.
Oh, damn, that's when I got thinking about bringing all the expansions of that.
I was going to ask you Heroes, if you're bringing Heroes, yeah. I know you bought everything for that.
The wagon's wheels are slowly sliding apart.
He's got to buy new wheels.
Might have to get the beach wagon out at this point, the big wheel.
The big one. Yeah.
I still remember you hauling the wagon out of the last Escape WinterCon. He's walking out with the wagon, and it was taller than him. The stack of games was taller than him.
Nice. Well, you're doing it right.
I know, dude. I know, but that's what we stocked a lot of this with. And I mean, I've got extra, but I mean, Kai went and bought a bunch of zombie dice. I bought a bunch of stuff. I love the flea markets,
Yeah.
Well, best of luck. I want to hear about, because Robert and I will be out of town next week for so the show won't go on, but when we get back from Escape WinterCon, I want to hear from you on the whole detail. Call in and give us everything. We want to know the itinerary, how
All
it
right,
went.
I'll actually make I'll keep a little notebook of what we do and stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, report back.
We appreciate the call.
All right, guys.
Good night,
Thanks,
Brian.
Zeno.
All right.
Thanks, Brian.
See ya. All right.
And just a
See you
quick,
later, Patrick. Bye-bye.
and just a quick side note as we were talking. I know you pulled up the list, but I just want to let everybody else know that if you're interested, if you go to the Escape WinterCon page, which on the internet, escapewintercon.com, there is the library. I assume the library's up to date, Patrick, and then you can click on a link there, and it takes you to the BGG listing for the Escape WinterCon library. And again, it says 2,095 games currently in the library. Is that pretty accurate? Pretty up to date?
That's pretty up to date. We've got a box that we're going to enter in some more, but we'll go a little over 2,100, depending on what Kickstarters show up in the next week or so.
That's impressive. Very cool.
What about the flea market situation? I mean, Zeno dropped a lot of cash. I got some good stuff out of it myself, but I maintained some semblance of control.
Yeah, that's good.
What's the flea market situation this year?
Well, there's a virtual flea market, which is running twice so that people can always do their exchanges. But on Saturday, we're going to run the regular flea market. So, I think it'll be pretty packed. And there's, I think, 16 people selling things this year.
Hey, we got a call coming in.
Another call coming in.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name and where you're calling from.
It's Mitchell from Louisiana. What's up, guys?
Hey, Mitchell. How you doing?
Hello, Mitchell. On the line with us, we have Patrick Havert. He's the general manager of Escape WinterCon, a convention here in Florida. What you got going on?
Not too much. I know I'm almost too late, and I'm usually like one of the first callers.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
I was working on a set for my show, and we were just leaving, and I figured I got 10 minutes. So I figured I'd call.
I was thinking about you. I was a little worried because I know there's still a lot of power outages in the Louisiana area. For those that the regular viewers of the show, Patrick, you may not know, when it comes to Mitchell, he's in Louisiana, just near New Orleans, in New Iberia. He's been a host here. He's actually been to the house from Louisiana, visited and guested with us. So I'm glad to hear you're safe.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We were really blessed. For a while, it was pretty much supposed to be coming right for us, and at the last minute, it shifted to the east, which was good for us, but really hurting for the people of the New Orleans area and some of the surrounding cities. New Orleans gets all the coverage because that's the big city, but there are plenty of smaller towns around there that are probably hurting even worse. So, I mean, I have friends whose family live a couple hours east of us, but they're still without power. School's been canceled for the foreseeable future for college students and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's definitely a different life a couple hours down the highway.
For sure, yeah.
What good reports do you have for us?
Well, I think it was last week. I don't remember how it came up, but I talked about how I only had one game on my shelf machine, and I finally got it to the table by counts of the
West Kingdom game. All right.
I really, really liked it. I know you guys have heard of it. Have you guys played that one?
Have not yet. I know all about it. I've watched playthroughs. I've watched reviews. I think I could probably play it, although I understand that there are a few little nitpicky things about it. Some people have problems with the first game or two, but no, I'm definitely one I've got on my must-play list.
Yeah, it's really good. So I picked it up clearly on the components. Like the little castle is cool in the middle. It's an engine builder and a deck builder. Basically, you have at all times 3 cards on your player board, and at the beginning of your turn, they all slide to the right as you play a new one. And some cards trigger an ability when you put it down. Some of them trigger an ability whenever they come off your board. Some of them have an ongoing ability as long as they're on your board. And so each of those cards have symbols on them. There's 4 main symbols for 4 main actions. There's trade, and I don't know the exact names, but then there's construct, there's like get a manuscript, and there's deploy troops into the castle. And so kind of there's like 4 main ways of getting victory points. So first of all, there's these debt and deed cards. Depending on the player count, a certain amount of debts have to be owed, or a certain amount of deeds need to have been completed. But it creates like a seesaw effect. So either one of them can trigger at the end of the game, someone drawing a certain number of debts or deeds. But if you draw the required number of debts, then the victory condition at the end of the game is who has the most deeds, and vice versa. And you could get both, but usually you get one or the other. So it bounces out that way. So that's kind of more, you're looking at that for the end of the game. But then throughout the game, my favorite part, my friends started calling it the Wombo Combo. You put these guys in, there's like 5 different sections of the castle. And based on where your Viscount is, who is your meeple basically, whenever you deploy troops, however many you deploy, they start in the bottom tier, but anytime a tier has at least 3 people, they want to spread out in the castle. So one of them moves clockwise, one anti-clockwise, and one moves up. And whenever they go into the second or the third tiers, they trigger bonuses, and also they're worth more points at the end of the game. So that was kind of my favorite. I usually kind of monopolize that. You had to move around the board in a certain way to where you would end up where you needed to trigger that chain reaction, because it could be kind of exponential. If this makes a 3 go into there, and then that one makes a 3 go into there. But also they have like these little manuscripts that you can march around the board and buy with your little ink wells. And you also have buildings you can build. It's kind of like tapestry. As you build a building, it uncovers something underneath it. But also whenever you place it on the board, you're getting a bonus where you place it. And then kind of like Endeavor, if you have 2 buildings on either side of something, you get the thing that's in the middle. So there's lots of different ways to go. And what I like is, like I said, you have those symbols on those cards that are like free. You can use them. But also each symbol is tied to a resource. So if you have more of a resource, you can basically augment your cards to make them more powerful. And there's a lot of different options. Like I said, I usually went to the castle. My buddy usually went the manuscript route, the little books you can buy. And it was a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. We played it, I think, 2 days in a row or something like that. We played like 4 or 5 times over the course of last weekend. And I'm hoping to teach it to some new friends at our game day tomorrow. So highly recommend it.
Cool. Let me ask Mitchell. I'm sorry. Have you played any of the other West Kingdom games, or?
I've not actually. A while back, you guys were talking on the show. I think it's about Architect. It sounded really interesting, but I've had this one on my table for so long with no one in my gaming group who had played it, so I hadn't played it. And I didn't want to buy another one before I had played this one. So now I'm definitely interested in it. In fact, I kind of had a backlog of games I wanted to buy, and I was like, I'm not buying any more games until I get this one played. And so literally that night, I ordered like 5 games. The other West Kingdom games were not on it, but they're on the way.
Mitchell, you're a unicorn, man. That is not normal in the gaming world.
And Patrick, you said you've played Viscounts?
I have. I've actually played all of them.
Okay.
I like the series, and how they work. I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know if you've played like Raiders of the North Sea and the North Sea sets.
Yes,
we have. Yeah.
They all kind of work together where there's like they use some mechanics from one for another one, and hopefully improve on them.
Sorry, Patrick, I didn't mean to be ignoring you there. But so with them sharing mechanics, they don't feel too similar to each other?
No, I mean, Architects and Paladins might be the two, or Viscounts. I mean, they're all similar to each other, but they all have different mechanics, so the game doesn't function the same way.
Agreed.
So Paladins is the one that I know the least about. What's its gimmick? What's its elevator pitch?
Well, Robert, have you played it? Or?
I have. I was like, let me pull it up here real quick on the. I'll maybe even just read you what it says here on the BGG. That is the one I've played. Of the 3, I think that was the first one, if I remember correctly. It was Paladins, then Architects, then Viscounts, and so it's the one that's been the longest since I've played here.
Because this last one looks like a rondelle thing going.
Right, you're moving around the board,
but it's like a path, like you're hitting a path as you're circling.
There's an inner track and an outer track, so you can choose to go in or out. Yeah.
If you're in the inner circle, there's certain actions you can do, and if you're in the outer circle, there's other actions you can do.
What if you're in the circle of friends, circle of trust?
That's a completely different circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Paladins is, if I remember, it's a worker. They're all.
Is it just worker placement though? Like
placement.
just worker placement?
Yeah, Paladins is pretty much worker placement. There's some card. I can't remember if it's set collection that you're doing in that. You're trying to get some cards that allow you to improve some of your actions and some of the things, which is kind of similar. Like Patrick was saying, it's kind of similar to Architects. I think the big thing everybody remembers from Architects, the big unique thing in that one is that it's the first time I think I've ever seen that for certain in a game, is that you get all of your workers at the beginning of the game. It's something like 16 or 18 or 20 workers, and you don't ever get any more workers throughout the game. You're placing your workers on the board, and then you've got different actions you can do to recall them, to bring them back, or they can get rounded up and taken to jail, and then you have to send somebody to get them released from the prison. And so that put a whole new mechanic on that. So So it was a lot of the symbology, certainly all the artwork and stuff is the same, is consistent throughout the 3 games. And then I know, again, Viscounts really introduced this whole idea of the, like you say, kind of the moving around the board. It's kind of a rondelle thing. So you're going around and around and around the board on the outside. But they all are, like I say, the artwork's all the same, the symbology's all the same. So once you know how to do one of them, you kind of get all of them as far as a lot of the general mechanics. But again, as Patrick was saying, they all introduce something that's unique enough, that changes the game enough, that has kept them all interesting. I've played I played Architects the most. I've played Architects, I think, couple of times, 3-4 times now. I want to say I've only played Paladins once, and I haven't played Viscounts yet, although, like I say, I've seen a lot on Viscounts. I know it's a game that I'm going to like. But
based on how Mitchell described it, what's your desire to play it?
Viscounts? The one knock on it, again, is people have said that it is kind of the most technical. There's a lot of order of things. You have to do this and then do that.
Oh, like Way of the Panda?
No, not quite Way of the Panda. I know that's a game Carlos was definitely not fond of when we played that. But no, there's an order of operations, and you kind of have to go down. You do this, and then you do this, and then this triggers that. But yeah, I'm sure. Go ahead and tell us more about that, Mitchell.
Well, yeah, they're definitely. So as me teaching it to myself without someone to teach it to me, it did seem daunting. But I think it's a flaw of the rule book more than anything. The rule book, in my opinion, is written more like a rules reference. Like,
Okay.
Hey, if you're not sure, come to this, and it's going to tell you very specifically. So, like, the 4 main actions essentially function the same with slight differences. Whenever I'm teaching the game tomorrow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, here's how you do an action. If you're doing this one, it costs this resource or this symbol. This one costs this. Whereas in the rule book, it's like they explain the whole thing, and it's very repetitive.
Over-explained.
But the symbology, yes, it's over-explained in a confusing way. The symbology at first, again, because it's over-explained, is a little daunting. But once you have a game down, you pretty much know what all those symbols mean. And there's like an order of play on your player mat
Right.
with those symbols. And it looks like a lot, but in most turns, you're only doing maybe half of those, because about 4 of them, you could only do one each, because that's the 4 main actions. Each turn, you can only do one of the 4 main actions. And then you have these tracks, I don't know what they're called, but it's basically like light side versus dark side.
Right.
And if your 2 little pawns intersect, something happens. But if they're not intersecting, then you just skip that part. So there is an order of operations, but most times you don't even do every single step. So that helps. The turns are really, really quick once you know what you're doing. And what I like also, while I'm on that, the good versus evil side. So on that track, whenever they intersect, whatever is above it, the active player gets that benefit, or whatever's below it, the other players get. So it's like it's like, if I want these to intersect, I'm going to get a good thing, but I also want to give the good things to the other players too. So it's kind of a balance.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely one that I want to try. I need to complete the series for sure. Like I said, I've played the other 2, and so I definitely want to play it. If nothing else, just to get that last game under my belt and give it a shot. But I've heard all good things about it. Again, some people have just said your first couple of playthroughs, you got to kind of get that turn order down. And like you say, I know it's written there on the player board. But then, from what I heard, there was some confusion with some people that, again, when those 2 pieces clash, where they set back to. Because I guess given some different circumstances, they may go back to and start in a different position. One may start a little one spot ahead or one spot behind, and so I've seen some confusion about that.
Basically, they start at 2 opposite ends, and they'll each move together. Once they collide, you don't resolve it till the end of your turn.
Okay.
So if either of them moves again, they just stay stuck together. So where they collide, it doesn't get resolved to the end of the turn. I can see.
That's a little FAQ.
Interesting because, yeah, I guess, yeah. That was. There were a couple of things we messed up the first round, and that was one of them. But the thing is, if you have more, like all light, your benefit is going to be better, or all dark. But if you have a mix of the 2, you get less of a benefit. So it's a nice little balancing act that I like as well.
Okay.
Well, it's heavy-ish Euro, right? So it's not in my wheelhouse as much. But I do know that the art on this, to me, has been gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Mihailo, I believe, is the artist on this one.
Dmitrievsky, yep, that's it.
Who also does Imperium Legends, which I've been reading the rules over and over again and trying to teach myself. It suffers from the similar thing you're talking about, where the rule book feels like it goes into too much text explaining stuff, and it just makes my brain melt. So that's why it kind of goes back to the shelf. So I can see why this one stood on your shelf. But I'm glad you were able to pull the pin on that grenade and open up all those wish lists of shopping once you got it off your shelf.
Yeah, I have about 5 games, like I said, coming in this weekend I'm ready to hit the table with. So I'll hopefully have reports on those next week.
Hey, man, if you like Paladins, make sure you get the expansion. I mean, Paladins is a good game by itself, but the expansion kind of takes it up a notch.
Yeah, I think the time me and Carlos played it, we played it with the expansion. And I know Carlos had mentioned that maybe he wished he had played it the first time without the expansion because it was a lot going on.
I like worker placement, but this was like worker placement, like AP,
On
like
steroids,
advanced level.
Yeah.
It was just beyond what I could handle. It's a good game.
The first game, just play.
Yeah,
The second
just
game,
have fun. Yeah.
Oh, I never played it win. I rarely ever win anything. I play for the joy of the game. I just didn't get the feels of Viking. Like I really felt like it was. Man, I felt I want to try Raiders of Scythia because it really felt like, does it really take this much work to go raid something? Like, I just want to grab a bunch of dudes, jump on a boat, and let's go.
Yeah.
878 style. Let's do this.
Yeah, Raiders of Scythia is similar. It did put you into the action a little faster, and you're not spending so many rounds.
I felt like I spent the majority of my game like getting resources.
Yeah,
like I was playing Farmer Boy.
Yeah.
I need to get some stone and some money and some.
Not into that.
I want to go raid. Well, thanks.
Paladins,
All right,
you're
guys,
defending.
I know. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Mitchell.
No, I was just saying. I know I'm past 9. I was going to let you guys go. My apologies for going late.
No worries.
No, you're good. We appreciate you calling in as
I'm glad
always.
to hear
9
you're
my
safe.
time, 10 your time. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for calling. Stay safe, and we'll talk to you again, I'm sure, next week.
Yeah, see you.
Thanks,
well, no,
Mitchell.
next week, aren't y'all out of town?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Next
Next week
are
we're
gonna
out of
be-
town.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. We're off next week.
And
the week after that, I'll be at Gen Con. Maybe I'll call from Gen Con.
Yes, live report. We just got a Dragon Con live report earlier in the show, so go back and watch it.
Cool. Yeah, I'm definitely going to go back and watch it tomorrow.
Sweet.
All right.
Good night.
Thanks, Mitchell.
Yeah,
Good night.
thanks.
Patrick, you were saying about Paladins?
Oh, in Paladins, you're defending against all the people coming to invade you.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. You got the waves.
Well, that's a flip of
Yeah.
the script.
That's kind of reminds me of Empires. So what is it?
After the Empire?
After the Empire. There we go. Yeah, that's a little bit there. You're fighting off the wave at the end of every round, and actually, Hadrian's Wall does that at the end of every round. You've got to defend against an attack coming in. So it kind of reminds me of those two.
Okay, so I see where Robert wants to finish the series because it sounds like they connect in a way.
Yeah, Viscounts. Yeah, they're all linked with some of those basic mechanics and the like I say, the art and all that stuff. It's all the same world, so it's really cool. So yeah, I got to get that last one under my belt.
Well, got us to the 10 o'clock hour, just like I was looking for. We got a comment on the board. Nick Oben, Viscounts is still on my SOSIS shelf of shame and shrink. Let's get it played, Rob.
Okay, let's do it.
There's your challenge.
Yeah, I'll get a game in with Nick, and then we'll report back and tell you how it went. Yeah.
And I know I don't want to keep Patrick too long. I did commit to a 10 o'clock, but I do want to hear, Patrick, what was the last game you played? So as if you were a caller into the show telling us about games you've played lately. What game do you want to share about?
I played was Shadows of Brimstone.
Oh,
I don't know
nice.
if you guys have seen this. It's a total Ameritrash game where it's cowboys versus Cthulhu.
I have seen it.
And you basically get a scenario, so it's like a dungeon crawler. And basically you're a pack of murder hobos wandering into this location, and you just basically kill everything you see. And then you loot it, and you go back, and hopefully you've accomplished the task. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, a lot of my friends have been playing it, so we've been trying to play it once or twice a month. And last time we wandered into the world of Mad Max and fought against a bunch of Tuscan Raiders.
Wow.
Oh, whoa. You're crossing streams,
really crossing
brother.
a bunch of streams there. So you got Western, you've got sci-fi, you've got some Cthulhu.
It started as Western versus Cthulhu.
Yeah.
And then it got popular, and some of their Kickstarters did like a few $1 million. So they just started creating all these other worlds.
Wow.
One's a demon world. One's Mad Max. One is swamps with like a hidden temple. We did that and fought like a giant dinosaur. There's also the Japanese versions, so you can play as samurais and stuff. They've created a bunch of other characters, and like the next one that's supposed to come out is supposed to be Vikings and Conquistadors.
Huh.
But there's all kinds of different adventures and add-on material and stuff like that. I mean, you could end up being a zombie, a werewolf, or a vampire character too.
that my mind is a little bit. I didn't know it went that deep.
That's bending it all over the place.
If I remember correctly, this is Flying Frogs, right? Flying Frog Productions. Yeah, and this is.
But
this is one of the ones that they didn't do the actual photography. Like I've got a couple Flying Frogs where they did the photography for the artwork. This one seems to be a little different.
Well, this one they've spent some real money getting the miniatures done and painted and pictured, because like their last Kickstarter, I think they did like almost $4 million.
Wow.
Are you into the
so
dungeon crawl world? Is that your thing too?
I love the dungeon crawls. You know, some are obviously better than others, but you know, I'm a big GW fan. You know, you were talking about Warhammer Invasion before. Hero Quest was like one of the ones that
Warhammer
I loved
Quest.
at first. That and you know, I don't know if you ever played Chaos in the Old World. Eric Lang's
Never had the
first
chance
asymmetrical
to.
game.
Like I don't know anyone that owns it.
Well, now you do.
Oh, hey,
There
we
you
got a
go.
friend, Robert.
Got a friend in me.
We got to get that one to the table, Robert. That
sounds like
that's
fun.
dudes on a map, but it's set in the Warhammer fantasy world.
Are you rolling dice?
Yes.
Oh, you lost me. All right.
It's Eric Lang's first one in that series of like Blood Rage and Rising Sun and stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
And the Four Powers asymmetrical is really done fantastically.
Okay. Well, I'm willing to try anything.
Yeah, because that was right around the time that he was doing Warhammer Invasion, because he was playing with the Fantasy Flight Games license that they had, the Warhammer license. Warhammer Invasion, I think, Robert, I've taught you that one before. It's
I think so,
the LCG card game.
Yep.
But Eric did some great stuff with that Warhammer.
He did. I have a lot of the stuff that they did, and even like the Horus Heresy and the other stuff that came afterwards. If it's GW, I have a tendency to buy it, even if I regret it later.
Yeah, my Kill Team wall and my Blood Bowl wall would tell you the same. Well, it's been,
you know,
it's been a fun ride with GW. It's so expensive. Like I call it plastic crack. I don't know if you've fallen for that, Patrick.
I have, and I mean, I've got every army for Warhammer Fantasy, which now doesn't even exist. So
I don't even know what that is, but
it was Warhammer Fantasy before they messed it up.
Oh,
I don't know. The Age of Sigmar thing kind of turned me off, but I think you got to play some of it, right?
I've played a little bit. I didn't like it because it was more of a beer and pretzel like skirmish game.
Yeah.
And there were some ridiculous rules, like if you play this faction and you have a mustache, you get a +1 to your die rolls.
Oh yeah.
You know, so that kind of turned me off. I liked the big block of, you know, moving hundreds of orcs on the field and stuff like that.
Yeah, I even tried Mantic's Kings of War to try to fill that niche, and it just didn't fill it that void for me.
Now, I mean, lately I've been playing Mortem et Gloriam. It's a 15mm historical game.
It's some of my DBA friends had jumped into that. Daniel, oh God, we used to work at USAA with us. He got into that Mortem et Gloriam. So it's a DBA. Are you familiar with DBA, Patrick?
Yeah.
Yeah, so DBA Roberts did little miniatures, historical games that I tried to get you into.
Oh, yeah.
Little tiny guys.
Oh, yeah.
But now they got bigger models.
Ooh, exciting.
Anyway.
He tries. He tries.
It's hard having a friend who's a Euro gamer.
No, it's not. We're the normal ones.
Well, we are at that 10 o'clock hour,
Yep.
and I am so glad to have spent some time getting to know you better, Patrick. And we are here, myself, Emmy, and Robert, just wishing you all the best in your upcoming convention this week.
Yeah, just a quick plug again. Plug your stuff. Plug your convention, club, quick, simple fun, all that good stuff. Where can people find you?
All right. EscapeWinterCon.com is where you can find information about the convention and get tickets if you want to come. There's a little bit of room left, so come on out, have some fun. It's totally about a week's vacation of just relaxing and gaming with people. Don't worry about coming alone. We have all kinds of signs up, and people are really very friendly about it. We all want more gamers.
Yep.
And quick, simple fun. We make a lot of games for people who want to have a more relaxed atmosphere and not a hardcore Euro or miniature gamer experience.
Yeah, absolutely. I own a lot of your catalog. I know we were talking about that before we went on tonight, and so I was looking at the webpage here, quicksimplefun.com, and I own more than half of the games that are shown here. So it's good stuff. I can attest.
All right. Well, great. Thanks a lot. Yeah, I mean, we just try to have fun, and hopefully you guys will join us.
And that we will. And folks, thank you all for your calls and your well wishes. Patrick, let's not make this the last time we do this. I know we're not actually too far, so Robert and I need to get out to one of your game days with your local group and hopefully get some, old world fantasy chaos going.
Yeah, that sounds like fun.
Because that map, Robert, is designed on like a stretched piece of human skin.
Oh,
it's
okay.
really weird.
Now you got me back in. Reeling me back in. Yeah.
Oh, Emmy loves that.
Emmy loves
that dark stuff. So we will get to meeting you. Well, Robert's met you in person. I haven't had the opportunity to meet you in person, but
and hopefully we'll maybe get you back on at least briefly. If you maybe call into the show after the convention, let us know how things went. We'd love to hear back from you and get the report on it.
Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're right here. Phone number's on the board. I posted up. Give us a ring. Tell us what you're up to, so the folks at home can know more about what you got going on. We hope to hear from you soon.
Great.
Best
Thank
wishes.
you much, and same to you. All right.
Good night.
Thanks, Patrick. Have a good night.
Good night.
That was so cool.
Yeah, that was
fun.
awesome. Yeah, it's always good to have some other voices in here. People get sick of hearing me and Carlos all the time, so it's nice to hear from some other people. And we're glad appreciate everybody who called in, asked a couple of good questions there to Patrick, so we got to find out a little bit more about running a convention and those kinds of things. And then go in and recap us there, Carlos.
Yeah, next week we are out of town.
Yeah, I was
I think I'm just gonna have to throw up like a replay or something.
Yeah, I was talking to Patrick before we went on. We were chit-chatting a little bit, and I told him I think this is going to be the first Thursday we've missed since we started the call-in show. We've been doing the call-in show for how many months now? It's
I don't know.
It's been over 6 months, I think.
Don't count
isn't it?
well.
Yeah,
yes.
we haven't missed a Thursday yet. We've done every single Thursday, so we were both a little disappointed, a little sad that we were going to miss our first Thursday.
Like I'm trying to figure out how do I do it while driving.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm gonna fly, but I'm not gonna have all the gear, so I'll be there.
I'm bringing the whole fan family.
Yeah, exactly.
So we got Melissa has a friend in St. Louis, so she's gonna go spend time with her. And
I'm not driving that. Was it gonna be 16 to 18 hours? No,
but we're going to Georgia first.
Yeah, that'll break it up.
Staying out there,
and that'll break it up.
We got family in Georgia, and then we're heading out to St. Louis. We got a ball game. Cardinals. My family's big ball game family.
Yeah, baseball.
Yadier Molina, probably the best catcher.
All right, you're losing
Puerto
the
Rican
audience.
catcher. I'm sorry, audience. Back to board game. Well, that'll do it for tonight. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Emmy.
Thanks for calling in on the Collins Show. Thank you, Patrick, for joining us. And I hope you all have fun at that con. And we will see you, I guess, in 2 weeks. Signing off.
Yep. Thanks for listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about
how we game. Night, everybody.
Night, everybody. Thanks.